Hello everyone, welcome back to DM9. And of course, my name is Damon Mason. I'm the owner of DM9, my YouTube channel. I want to thank all you guys for taking time out to pay attention to what I'm sharing. I want to send a special shout out to you guys who have already liked, especially you guys who have subscribed to my page. It's going to help my growth. I truly appreciate it. So with that being said, please don't forget to like the video, especially subscribe, because guys, it's free and it helps the growth of my page and everything that I represent and everything that I'm trying to build. So with that being said, welcome to episode number 2, which I have entitled Growing Up in the Hood. So and the title of my story, once again, is for you guys who've seen this for the first time. The title of the story is called Why I Left East St. John High School, or Why I Left East St. John. So I hope you watched episode 1. Episode 1 was entitled The School Ground. I won't go through it because it's there for you guys to watch it in case you want to recap or catch up. But growing up in the hood, guys, and so as I prepare to tell this story, of course, I've been reflecting on certain things and just getting my mind right. And again, not trying to bore nobody, but just really want to share, be very open and transparent, and share my heart and share my experiences, and really tell a tale of this story that I've told so many different times. But I want to be more in depth because this is the first time that it's going on YouTube. And so, why did I entitle this episode "Growing Up in the Hood"? Making everything relevant to why I left East St. John High School. So keep that in mind. The story is about why I left East St. John High School. So I really want to be detailed on the things that's very, very relevant in my life at that time that helped me make the decision years later. So at the end of episode 1, I was roughly 8 and 9 years of age, trying out for the baseball team in St. John Parish, LaPlace, Louisiana. The team was called the LaPlace A's. Y'all hear me try to be proper, right? So, again, growing up in the hood. Now, I don't know what you're thinking. Now, just because I say growing up in the hood, our hood was not hood, ghetto, no. But we called it the hood. I think everybody across the country have a hood, have their hood. So, my hood was Park Place, better known as the PPP. But before I go into details about Park Place and where my hood was, again, we grew up in St. John Parish. And as I told you guys before, St. John Parish to me consists of LaPlace, Reserve, Granville. Now they had other subdivisions and cities. I guess you could say, I don't know if those cities are not. That might sound funny, but they had different places like a Myesville. You had Stark Terry's, which I'm gonna say, Dutch Bayou. So I'm gonna mention those names again. Woodland Quarters. But my hood was Park Place, and it's very relevant because each hood had ballers. All right, if you guys hasn't figured out by now, for me growing up in St. John Parish, at that time I want to say the late 70s. I was born in '74, so like I say 8 and 9. I don't know, guys. I'm not trying to do no math right now. So I want to say late 70s, early 80s, or even the mid 80s. Everything was about playing ball, and I told you guys hanging out with my cousin Vance. I'm gonna try my best not to use last names for the younger individuals. But when I talk about grown men grown individuals who took a very significant role in my life, I will share their name in details if I can. If not, I'm just gonna call everybody by nicknames, the way we used to call them and how we know them. So, but once again, the hood. Everybody had ballers, and in my hood, Vance was the first one for me. That was my idol. That was the guy that I followed around, even though he was only 2 years older than me. But he was the best thing that I thought. And I'm not saying that I thought, but he was the best thing to me because that's the guy who I idolized. But then when he took me to the school ground and to try out for the baseball team at the age of 8, that's when I met a whole bunch of other athletes. I never knew there was such a thing as a baseball team where kids tried out and stuff like that. So, and just off the top of my head, you had hoods like, and I'm gonna start in LaPlace from down the road, as we call it, the hood was in Woodland Quarters, and then that hood was, three of the guys who was my closest friends. One of them is my cousin, and one of them is my best friend. Another one is, just as close as my best friend, and that's Dusty, Oman, and Romel. You know what I'm saying? I met Oman. I've been knowing Oman since we was in kindergarten at OLG, as I said in episode 1. I met Romel at John L. Lowry High School, at John L. Lowry Elementary. And let me slow down, because as my friends back at home know, that sometimes Damon can talk fast when he get excited. And some people even say, well, is that boy talking Chinese? Because all you hear is blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to slow down. So as I was saying, I knew Oman from kindergarten, preschool at OLG, Our Lady of Grace. And then when my parents took my sister and I out of Catholic school, we went to public school for the first time. First grade for me, I think third grade for my sister at John L. Lowry Elementary. That's where I met Romel. All right, and Dusty and Orman Lindell, which is his first name, Dusty and Orman was at Woodland School, which once again is the location of the school ground. Now, I want to mention down the road. All right, as I mentioned, down the road. So you have Woodland Quarters, then you have down the road, which is the River Road, which is where Woodland School is. He has some of my homeboys right there who are play a significant role in my life as well. You had Troy, you had Marlon, you had Big D, you had Big Anthony. My cousin Kira, we call him Pa. That's on Persimmon Street, if I'm not mistaken. If you go down the River Road, and guys, even though I'm from there, I still don't know exactly where it's been so long. But then you got T. Boyd. Then of course you got who I thought was the best athlete in St. John Parish. One of the best, and it's a toss-up between him and another individual, which I'm gonna mention his name later. But that down the road clique, that down the road posse was Randy. All right, and then and I'm gonna come on back to across the tracks from Woodland School ground, Orange Loop. And even though I don't think he grew up there, but Kerry. All right, Kerry and Randy are cousins, so I don't want to say the last name, but if you guys know those individuals, you know who I'm talking about. Then if you go down to the LaPlace project, who has some of the best athletes in St. John Parish, and they'll let you know about it. You had Nicholas, you had Leo, you had Bowles, and these are some older guys, so I'm talking about the big boys, so I'm not going to get into that right now because I don't want to take up too much time. But then right across, as we call it, a fence that separated the LaPlace project from Park Place, my hood, and we lived in the Monopoly. So the PPP was actually a Monopoly board. I stayed in, we all stayed in Park Place, but I lived on Boardwalk. All right, on Boardwalk was my boy D, the White Pete down the road. I'm saying around the corner, and I can't remember the streets, but of course I had my big cuz Vance. Around the corner you had my homie, my cuz Jack. We call him Derek. First name Derek, we call him Jack. I have the young boy who I told you who I met became one of my closest friends, Derwin. Then down the street from Derwin you had Keith and Kenneth. And their little brother Kerwin, even though Kerwin wasn't born at the time. Derwin brother Randall, who was a baby at the time. You know what I'm saying? So then we had, some of the older guys. You had LeBaron. Oh man, can't remember these guys' name. Of course, across the street from literally out the front door in front of my house was one of my big cousins, Aaron. Like I say, older guys. So Aaron Lewis, and right next door to me was my big cousin Orlando Mason. And in the corner, in the corner of Boardwalk, was another individual who was like a big brother role model for me and many of the young guys who played baseball in LaPlace with the Ford organization, who coincidentally is running for sheriff in St. John Parish, Juan Shug Watkins. So congratulations to you, big brother, and I'm praying for you. So. You a legend to us, man. So, but guys, so that was the hood that I remember in LaPlace. And then, like I say, everybody had their hood. You go to Reserve. I can't remember all the locations, but for me, you look at 26th Street. All right, you had 29th Street. Actually, these were not hoods, but these were like locations and sets. But you had, Stark Terry's. You had people like Wallow. All right, Wallow Gibson. You had Keith Gibson. You had Bobby Gibson. These boys played for reserve Phillies. Off the top of my head, man, you had my cousin Terry Grover, who was one of the youngest ones who played, was a phenomenal baseball player. Then you had Dooley. You know what I'm saying? Dooley was probably, to me, the coolest, most laid-back baseball player I ever seen, but was dangerous on a baseball diamond. Calvin Miles, I know Cal was my age, but I hadn't talked to Cal in years, so I had to give his last name out there. He was in that little era with me. But then you go on down to Garyville. Garyville, like I said, everybody had a hood, and just like you had a hood, you better respect everybody's hood. Now, I'm laughing because I love them dudes. It's history. But Garyville was my Compton before I even knew what a Compton was. But I never went to Garyville, unless I went to see a family member, which was very, very seldom, or we went to church. But Granville had some of the best, if not the best, talented athletes and biggest, strongest, fastest athletes in St. John Parish. Even though I don't think nobody from Granville was faster than Damon Mason. I'm sorry, Flop. Ryan Bardell. Courtney, I'm sorry. I know I'm not saying I won't say last name, but these are my dudes, man. So we have history, but Garyville, man, of course, like I said, you had probably the hardest, one of the best pitchers I ever saw in my lifetime, who I had the pleasure to play with and play against at every level, was Calvin Lee. Flip-flop, Courtney Mitchell, what I'm saying, left-handed pitcher, man, just, of course, Ryan Bardell. Me and Ryan was like night and day, what I'm saying, two of a kind, but I don't remember Ryan too much when we was young. I grew to know Ryan when we got in high school, but still I remember Ryan played ball, and Ryan was a hell of an athlete. Should have played football, but that's another story for me and him. Then you had, of course, I told y'all Randy is, to me, is the best baseball player, but it's questionable because then you had arguably the greatest in St. John Parish. Between those two guys, it's Papa Leroy Williams. God rest his soul. So I definitely want to give him his props and share his last name. And then you had, and these were the little boys, as we call it, that 10, 11, and 12-year-old. But then you had guys like Soup, that I remember, Randall Watkins. Oh man, you had a lot more. I remember Leakey played. I can't think of all the names, man, but needless to say, Garyville had talent. But again, everybody had their hood. So these hoods made up, to me, LaPlace, Reserve, and Garyville. And inside of Garyville, LaPlace, and Reserve, you had the LaPlace A's, you had the Reserve Phillies, and you had the Garyville Pirates, as I shared in episode 1. Y'all hear my music, man? I ain't trying to listen to that right now. What's wrong with that? So why is that relevant? I first of all, it's relevant because by the grace of God and everything that I've accomplished, those guys was talented. I grew up watching these guys, all right? 8 and 9 years old, I didn't make the baseball team, as I told you before, and my clique, Dusty, Oman, Romel, myself, and many others didn't make the baseball team at the ages of 8 and 9. And I remember going to the ballparks. And at that time, I was only going to the ball games at the school ground in LaPlace, because that's where I lived at. And it was across the street. The school was across the track, in walking distance from my grandmother. So, we would go, it was like an event in St. John Parish, in LaPlace, man, that whenever there was a baseball game on the school ground. And yeah, so many people. The parents out there. It was like a big festival, because you seen the adults out there with their coolers, and of course some of them had their drinks. You selling hot dogs. Miss Watkins had a Huckabucks. it was something to see for an 8 and 9 year old. Like, wow, man, this is what's going on in your neighborhood. You wanted to be a part of it, but the same thing was going on in Star Terrace in reserve. All right, the same thing was going on in Granville at their baseball park. You know what I'm saying? So it was something that, I can't speak for the rest of my friends, but it was something that I wanted to be a part of. So I kept going back. At 8 years old got cut, 9 years old got cut because there was so much talent. And what's significant when I think about that is I share with young kids today and their parents. And at that time, in that era, all my friends were good. Listen to what I'm saying. My friends were good, so I had to step my game up. And I think I said that before. So now I'm going to focus at the age of 10. And a lot of things happen at the age of 10. All right? See, I went from being a youth at 8 and 9. But now I consider myself, if I'm not mistaken, society, as we put it, is the adolescent stage. So now I'm at the age of 10. And check this story out. So we all tried out for the baseball team again, the LaPlace. And needless to say, I always talk about Randy, but I forgot about Kerry. So man, between those two cousins, boy, and Nicholas and Leo, man, them boys was good. And this was the little boys. You had names like Papipe. I forgot about John Van Pran. God said his last name, because you won't know who I'm talking about. You know what I'm saying? Then you had probably the biggest name that we knew at the time was Marvin Francois Hightower. You know what I'm saying? I already mentioned, people like Shug, Orlando, Aaron Lewis, I remember seeing these guys play, but they was a lot older than I was. You know what I'm saying? But people like Pipe and Hightower, you know what I'm saying? Mimi, God rest his soul. We had some talent. And then you go to reserve, like I told you, you had Wallow, you had Dwayne, what Dwayne last name was. Y'all know what I'm talking about. I forgot his name. You know what I'm saying? I forgot to mention him. But so these were the big boys, you know what I'm saying? Can't forget about Hollywood, Brentwood. Man, we had ball players in St. John Parish. And so as a young kid watching this here, and the thing about it, these guys knew the Randys, the Poppers, the Duelists, the Terrys, the Flip Flop. You know what I'm saying? These guys, it was one thing to get these older boys telling you, man, you good. Oh, man, yeah, man, you know what I'm saying? So getting that pat on that back from somebody who's bigger than you, that you watching them play on a higher level, I didn't have that because I don't really think I was that good. But I wanted to be that good, so I kept on striving. And I was called a crybaby, because when I got mad, I cried. But let me back up. So we trying out for the baseball team. I told you I can get excited and I can talk fast. It's only 20 to 30 minutes, guys. So we tried out for the baseball team at the age of 10, the LaPlace A's. But I wanted to mention those guys now, man, because they mean a lot to me. And we tried out for the team, and guess what? We got cut. At the age of 10, myself, Dusty, Orman, Romel, and a handful of other guys who I can't remember their name, but we got cut. But Dusty, y'all know Dusty, that boy, he snuck over. I'm going too fast again. So we got cut. But this is what they did. You had so many kids who was trying out for the LaPlace A's every year, that they decided to make 2 teams in LaPlace. We didn't know that. So that day, everybody who got cut, they said, all y'all go over there. And so we walked over there, and my first coach became Orman's dad, Garrell Anderson. And they formed the LaPlace Dodgers. So myself, Romel, Orman, and Dusty. Now see, my friends might not remember this here, but I remember seeing Dusty in the group with us, and that little black sucker walked over and snuck back to the LaPlace A's. That's how Dusty ended up playing the LaPlace A's. If I'm not mistaken, we also had T-Boy on the team with us that year, that first or second year. And we had some guys that I haven't seen in a long time, like Sebastian, Dale Paraloo played with us. Y'all remember Dale? God rest his soul. So we had Eldridge 5 played with us. Ryan Jesse, Duke. I don't know Duke last name. Big tall Duke. Ron P played with us. Ronnie Davis, what's up, Romster? So we had some characters who played for the LaPlace Dodgers, boy, that first year. And needless to say, we lost every game. Every game. But we had the best uniforms. We had the best uniforms. Now, I know you guys probably wondering once again, well, why is he telling this here, guys? It's relevant. I'm telling a story. I'm telling how everything transpired to make me leave East St. John. Now, see, at that time, and I'm going to start to say that right now. At that time, I was known as a crybaby because when we lost, I cried. When I struck out, I cried. If I didn't play, I cried. And I cried because I was mad. So needless to say, people called me a crybaby. And I can't forget about my boy, David Man Fisher. My bad, brother. I remember adding you on the list, man. So between David Fisher, Romel, and Vance was with us that year. Vance, my cousin, my idol, Vance played with us. Those were our best athletes. I don't think T-Boy played with the Dodgers. T-Boy played with the LaPlace A's. But what I'm getting to, guys, is at that time, and I don't even think my friends knew this. It was two things that was going through my mind at the age of 10. That with Orman's dad being the coach, his next door neighbor was Romel, and the next door neighbor down from Romel was Dusty. Even though Dusty played with LaPlace, I feel like there was a lot of favoritism where in St. John Parish, as I told you guys, when you had the older teams, the 13 and 14-year-olds who watched us play, and when you hear them guys cheering for Randy or Papa or Dooley or Terry or Flip Flop, and I forgot my cousin Chris, Big Chris Nicholas, and I think me and Chris was two of a kind, two grinders. But the point I'm getting to is, when you had a lot of those older guys showing you, I don't want to say favoritism, but showing you love like that, I think think about it, these coaches was nothing but parents, was nothing but fathers in the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? And besides Vance, Kenny Jackson played with the LaPlace A's. Nine, who you played with now? I forgot. I don't think Nine played with the Dodgers. So early in my mind, I felt like there's a lot of favoritism. I felt like I had to really prove myself, and rightfully so. The boys, listen, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying how good they were. LaPlace, Reserve, and Granville. So much talent, and rightfully so. They was good. I had to prove myself. I had to get better. I had to grind. So, guys, I'm at the 23-minute mark. And I won't go over 25 minutes, even though I gave myself 30 minutes. But I had to get all this out in episode 2 about the hood and what took place in the hood. The hood wasn't about, see, at that time, and we know how it is because we heard it from the older men. Unfortunately, as time evolves, people change, kids change, the things kids do are differently. Nobody was not trying to fight. There wasn't people killing each other. We got into fights, we got into arguments, but for the most part, it was all about who was better. Who was better at baseball? Who was better at baseball and who was going to win? We went to school, and at that time, we were still in elementary, so I didn't meet Chris. We didn't go to school like at the middle school where LaPlace and Reserve went to school together. In elementary, it was just everybody in LaPlace went to one school, which was Johnny Laurie or Woodland School. And then in elementary, some people in Reserve, went to, we all went to East St. John Middle, right behind OLG. And then in junior high, LaPlace, Reserve, and Granville all went to Leon Gacho Junior High, which is the only junior high school that we had. So I know I'm jumping the gun, but I'm just making a point as far as, so back to elementary, at the age of 10, it was just about the LaPlace A's, LaPlace Dodgers. We at school looking forward to, after school, to go to baseball practice, looking forward to the weekend to have a baseball game. And then what even made it much, much better, unlike the era today, we competed in our grades because we knew that if we didn't do good in the classroom or we got in trouble, we couldn't play. Our parents did not allow us to play. So we competed in every facet of our life at a young age. You know, and it's, you know, it started on the playground, but we took it over to school and we competed. You know, that was our trash talk. Who was gonna win, who was better, who did this and who did that. And if you was considered a crybaby, you know, it was not being a bully. You stopped crying, and you learn how to talk back and tell jokes. So look, at that time, man, my hood, St. John Parish, LaPlace, Louisiana, Reserve, Louisiana, Granville, Louisiana, the guys who became my friends and who I love as brothers today, to this day, older, and the guys who of my era, we all made each other better to some degree because we competed. We competed, we had arguments, even a few fights between friends, you know, but we are still here today to talk about these things, to reminisce on these things. And if you was not as good, or if you didn't like what was being said or being done, you did something about it. And doing something about it was step your game up. In order to step your game up, you had to put in work. Put in work at school, and also put in work on the baseball diamond. So guys, that's it for today. You know, I know it was a lot of rambling, but I had to get off because trust me, guys, it's taking shape. As I see it, it's taking shape. You know, so I hope you enjoy episode 2. You know, growing up in the hood. You know, growing up in the hoods of St. John Parish. All right, so again, guys, I appreciate your time. If you like the content, especially like the content, you know, like it, subscribe to it, help the growth of my page. But guys, I'm doing this just because the love of it. These are my stories. I want to touch as many people as I can, including my own kids. And as my parents told me at the early age, I told you guys, as a youth of 8, everything I experienced was the good Lord allowed that for a reason. So I'm just telling my stories of overcoming adversity. So again, thank you for listening to episode 2 of Growing Up in the Hood. So you guys take care, God bless, and until next time, D Mace from DM9. Peace.